You know, every single time you open a new tab, you're basically stepping onto a hidden battlefield. It's wild, right? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this invisible war that's being fought to keep your browser safe, and we'll look at the seriously clever tools that are turning the tide. All right, so what exactly is this hidden battle that's happening inside your web browser? Well, think about it. Every web page you visit is like a skyscraper of code, just poof, built in seconds. Now, finding a security flaw in that thing, that's not like finding a needle in a haystack. Oh no, it's more like finding a single faulty wire in a power grid the size of an entire city. That high-stakes search, that's the hidden battle we're talking about. Okay, so right at the heart of this whole battle is something called the DOM engine. I mean, this thing is basically the architect and the construction crew for every single website you see. It takes all that raw code and, builds the interactive page you can click on. But, and this is a big but, its massive complexity means it's also the perfect hiding spot for some really, really dangerous security bugs. So how in the world do you find these hidden flaws? Well, for years, the go-to method for security researchers has been this thing called fuzzing. It's basically a brute force attack, but for good. You just automatically throw millions and millions of random, kind of broken inputs at the software, just hoping to make it crash. And every time it crashes, that's like a little breadcrumb, a clue that could lead you to a nasty bug. But there was a huge flaw in the old way of doing things. See, older fuzzers were what we call context-free. To put it simply, imagine you're trying to write a story. You know all the rules of grammar perfectly, but you have zero memory of the characters or the plot from one sentence to the next. What would you get? You'd get a bunch of grammatically correct nonsense, right? Well, that's exactly what these older fuzzers did, and because of that, they just couldn't find those deeper, more subtle bugs that you can only trigger with logical steps. Okay, but this is where our story gets a hero. Enter FreeDom. It's a brand new tool developed by researchers at the Georgia Institute of Technology. And its superpower, it remembers the context. It doesn't just know the grammar of a web page. It actually understands the story it's building, from one step to the very next. Honestly, FreeDom was a major leap forward. Its whole context-aware thing was the key innovation, right? It let the fuzzer create tests that were way more realistic and complex. Plus, it came with two different powerful modes for hunting down bugs. And, maybe most importantly, it was incredibly fast. We're talking up to 3.74 times faster, running way more tests in the same amount of time. Okay, but look, when you have a powerful new tool like this, you've got to prove it's the real deal, right? So that's exactly what the researchers did. They set up a head-to-head showdown, a fuzz-off, if you will. They pitted FreeDom directly against the reigning champion, a state-of-the-art fuzzer called D'Amato, in a 24-hour bug-hunting marathon. The goal here was pretty simple. Just set them both loose on a browser engine for a full 24 hours and see which one could find more unique crashes. Remember, those crashes are the little signals that point to potentially serious security flaws. The stage was set. FreeDom versus the state-of-the-art. And the results? Wow. It wasn't even close. When they tested it on WebKit, that's the engine that powers Apple's Safari browser, FreeDom's smarter, context-aware approach found 3 times more unique crashes than the old champion. I mean, it was an absolutely decisive victory. And look, this wasn't just some win in a sterile lab environment. In total, this research uncovered 24 brand new, totally unknown bugs in the world's biggest browsers. These are what people in the security world call zero-day vulnerabilities, basically flaws that nobody else on the planet knows about yet. Pretty serious stuff. And this, right here, is what really matters. Those 24 bugs, they were all responsibly reported to the big guys like Apple and Google, and guess what? They've all been fixed. So this research literally made the browser on your phone, on your computer, safer from attack. It had a real, tangible impact. But just when you think the story's over, it takes this really fascinating turn. See, the researchers didn't just build a better tool. Along the way, they kind of stumbled upon this super counterintuitive truth about innovation and the best way to actually hunt for bugs. I mean, we all tend to assume that the newest, most complex, quote-unquote, smartest technology is always going to be the best, right? But what if it's not? In the world of security research, is that actually true? Okay, so here it is, the big reveal. Remember those 2 different modes that FreeDom had? Well, one was the smarter, more modern approach. The one that tries to learn as it goes, mapping out and exploring every single corner of the code. The other was basically a supercharged version of the old method, just generating tests as fast as possible. And the result? It was shocking. The faster, less complex method, it found almost 4 times more unique crashes. The researchers themselves put it perfectly. They said that trying to be too smart, trying to cover every single nook and cranny of the code, can actually end up slowing the fuzzer down. That faster, generative approach, even though it was less meticulous, turned out to be way more efficient at finding deep bugs, simply because it could just run so many more tests. And really, that's the ultimate takeaway here. True innovation, the greatest leap forward, didn't come from just adding more complexity, from building the most complicated machine. It came from deeply understanding the problem, and then refining a simpler idea to solve it. It's all about finding that perfect, delicate balance between raw speed and careful intelligence. So this all leaves us with that one fascinating question that this research really brought to light. In the never-ending hunt for bugs, is it better to be fast, or is it better to be smart? Because as these researchers showed us, the answer, well, it's a lot more complicated than you might think.